Then welcome for today's colloquiums talk. I'm happy to announce second time Tatiana Minayeva. So most of you know her from last week. So it's a series of talks. And last week she spoke about the concepts of sustainability. And today it's going to be more detailed and more personal about nature-based solutions and policy in our life. So for those who couldn't join last week, Tatiana studied biology at the Moscow University and also holds a doctorate at the Russian Academy of Science. So she did for a very long time different kinds of governmental consultants. She did it for the Russian government, but then also in international wetland groups. And she's quite specialized in global wetlands, especially peatlands. But today she's talking about more general nature-based solutions. So happy to welcome her.
Yeah, good afternoon. So what we are trying to do here, we are trying to merge the internationally significant concepts and with a real practice on the ground, and show how from the policy we can apply and realize the concepts. So today we are speaking about nature-based solutions, and it is one slide from the previous lecture, also for students who wants really to know in deep SDGs. I recommend very much this person and her portal, Hip in a Suit. She was working a lot for UN agencies, but still keeps free from all these formal approaches, and I recommend it very strongly. So today we look at definition and terminology of nature-based solutions to international legal background and framework for the regional legal framework, national, here we are in Germany, legal framework. Then I will tell a couple of words about the IUCN initiative on nature-based solutions, look at business opportunities and tendencies, very short about scientific framework. And then I will give one example from all over the world and two examples from here, from Görlitz. What can we do as a nature-based solutions? Okay, let's go. Definition, it's difficult. What is actually nature-based solutions? Some people think that it's when Michelangelo is inventing his first plane, looking at the bird's wing. Yeah, so, but it's not. Actually, it's not. It is nature-inspired solutions or biomimicry. The other possibility is this type of buildings. Yeah, very often they say that it's nature-based solutions. But actually, it is green engineering and architecture. It could be part of nature-based solutions, but only in some conditions. Okay, so maybe this city landscape in Copenhagen, this city opera, can be considered as nature-based solutions. Yes, also in some conditions, but actually it is green urban landscape planning as a specific method. So, okay, so what else can we think about? Constructed wetlands, very much looks like nature-based solution. To prove you that it does exist already many years. For 20 years, people construct wetlands to clean water. So I can show you the references and the pictures of the real, not only the drawing. Yeah, so this is a lot of this, especially in global South and in China. But it is also like utilization of one of ecosystem functions. Yeah, so this is not nature-based solutions like they are identified by international conventions. Okay, maybe this is already closer. But in reality, it is blue or green infrastructure, depending on what they are doing, restoring a wetland, a river, or forest. So this is still not nature-based solutions. This is only part of it. All these discussions about this term were very much in science and also in IUCN, how we will see later. And there was a very nice article of German scientists about criteria of nature-based solutions in nature. And actually, the criteria are that these solutions should help not only people but nature. Yeah, so they simultaneously benefits for society, economy, and nature. Three components. So they have to take under umbrella all these examples, all these technologies which I showed you in the previous slides, and they should be introduced this way that they could have good scientific background, tested and adapted for the local conditions. So only then it will be considered as nature-based solution. There is something like a first attempt to put these nature-based solutions in the Sustainable Development Framework and put all these examples or more, which are listed on the right side, and as a part of nature-based solutions, but only if they are put together under the framework, if they are tested, that they are good for nature, economy, and society. Okay, so you remember from the previous lectures what Rio Conventions are, and these three conventions are dealing with this term, but only recently, and still not embedded in their decisions. Why? Because there is Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, that was using very long time term ecosystem approach. And actually, this ecosystem approach, they thought, and that's absolutely true, it was covering this concept of nature-based solution. This is how ecosystem approach was defined by convention, and actually it's quite wide definition. That's why people in convention, they didn't see the need to introduce that new term, which you again have to integrate in all these decisions to deal with, to define, to make it official, because the convention, it is very heavy body organization which is operating the way that contracting parties who are signing this convention has to agree on all this, on all decisions, on all terms, and then they have to use it and embed in their own national policies. That is why conventions exist. That is how they are working. I tried to explain this last time. The other convention, also CBD and UNFCCC, which is Climate Convention of United Nations, they were using ecosystem-based mitigation and adaptation. Actually, as a term, ecosystem-based mitigation, Climate Convention didn't use because it was absolutely obvious, as I presented also last time. There were guidelines which were saying that there is a large package of mitigation measures which are based on land use change. So deforestation, afforestation, agriculture, and all this. This is all land use based mitigation. And when you are, for example, making afforestation, deforestation, this couple, or also wetlands, drainage, rewetting, you are actually applying these nature-based solutions for mitigation. That's why they never have this separate. It is again connected to how conventions are working. They don't bother themselves to put these new things, not to overload countries with embedding this in their policies. The most practical convention from three conventions actually is CCD, like combating desertification convention, which also I told you last time that it is not only desertification, but it is degradation, land degradation. This is actually dealing with any land degradation, also in Arctic. This is not only about deserts, but it was originally called desertification. And this convention had very nice concept about the landscape neutrality, very well scientifically proved, and a lot of methodologies, but no other conventions were dealing with this. So again, this is such a no synergy, but they had this term sustainable land management, and it was a little bit like these nature-based solutions. And finally, nature-based solutions appeared due to US IUCN pressure in the CBD documentation. In this Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, each time convention, when they realize that they fail to meet again 2020, 2030, 2000 hours goals, they are adopting the new document. Now we will protect so-and-so species and save them. so-and-so ecosystems until now 2030. So this next thing was adopted 2022. It was after 2020 agenda. And there, in two targets, target 8 and target 11, the nature-based solutions as a term was sound. And finally, good people from CCD, whom I like very much, that's enough is enough, please introduce this one definition and let us three conventions share. They asked this in their decision. The contracting parties of CCD, which are actually the same as contracting parties of CBD and Climate Convention, little 2 countries more, 2 countries less. They asked to make order in all this terminology, finally, to use. And the latest formal definition was given by UNEA. This is United Nations Environmental Assembly, and it sounds the way that it uses all terminology of conventions. Nature-based solutions are actions to protect, conserve, restore, sustainably use, and manage natural or modified terrestrial. Why they are listing this? Because countries are working with this definition. Yeah, they are listing all the type of ecosystems and use for the society, the human well-being, ecosystem services, resilience and biodiversity benefits, because for all this, they have methodologies and good developed framework. Why I'm staying so long on these things? Because these conventions are background for the policy of Europe, policy of Germany. What is policy? Policy is money. When you have this in your policy, then you have to assign money to implement this policy. That's why it is so significant to know from where it's going. And the second, this is the feedback to the conventions. The city Görlitz, Germany, Europe, they are reporting to convention, and convention has the mechanism to assess where we are standing globally and if we have to undertake urgent action. Because here from Görlitz, we can't see this. And this is the way how this hierarchy is working. Europe was dealing with this earlier also, not inspired by IUCN, but inspired by the European scientists, mainly, by the way, German scientists. And they have other definitions because they were earlier. And they included actually these solutions that are inspired by nature. They included this Michelangelo wing and other solutions which are inspired by nature. In European definition, it is there. Also, they included that it should be cost effective. You don't see it in the conventions, in the definition. It should be cost effective because they are thinking about economy. And it should be resource effective. And this nature-based solutions and this concept, they are embedded in the European Green Deal and EU Biodiversity Strategy up to 2030 and to EU Adaptation Strategy. So we have this policy independently. Do conventions have this or not? Yeah, European countries. But what Europe is funding mainly research. Yeah, so not really implementation, but mainly research. You can have implementations through live projects, but it will be a little bit in the other contents. Yeah? Live projects are working mainly for the protection. And here are listed priorities for the funding by EU. This is research, this is innovation, advance and development of these nature-based solutions to upskill them locally, to adapt it for the local conditions. Improve financing solutions. So, for example, what is doing group of Irene Ring here, yeah, to try finally to integrate ecosystem services in the fiscal and other economic working systems, but not to hang them somewhere as a course for university, to make ecosystem services to work, to integrate them in the real market, and to embed this all in the education. So this is what European Union or European Commission wants to finance. And there are funding opportunities. All applications are already closed. Horizon, Climate Action Life, EU funding programs 2021-2027. There are usually 2 stages, and this first stage for the project is already over. Biodiversity partnership, I don't know, maybe there are some calls and cost actions also, I don't know, maybe there are some calls still. So if you want to make the nature-based solution project to implement here, so those are the sources. And Germany has no nature-based solutions in the legislation. No law has such a word, but there is the strategy or Aktionsprogramm Natürlicher Klimaschutz. And in this program, there are nature-based solutions. You can see this in the web page, where you can download a short and full version of the document. And also they have at least some sort of definition in German in the frequent asking question division. Now about the IUCN. IUCN had installed the special commission. Yeah, IUCN had a commission on ecosystem management, which was very really active and worked a long time, since end of 80s, International Union for Nature Conservation. This is the NGO, and it is NGO based on the membership. The membership could be from the countries or for the other large NGOs who has impact on the decisions of what IUCN is doing. Yeah, so this is the huge membership conservation organization. Not like WWF, for example, which is totally on the private nations. Yeah, so this is the other type of organization which is agreeing its policy with members, including countries which are members. So they had this ecosystem management group a very long time. They produced a lot of very good grain of very good literature and methodologies for ecosystem management. And they supported a lot of research. And in this group, they organized the thematic group on nature-based solutions. They were making a lot of surveys, and they were lobbying very actively in the Rio Convention, as I already explained, that this ended up in the Rio Convention. Some of Rio Conventions included this nature-based solutions. And they have a large set of documents that provide methodological support for this work. For example, there is self-assessment tool when you can assess your project. Does it fit to nature-based solution concept? Is it good or bad? Then they have global standard. This is confusing because in the business projects, standards are very formal documents with which the audit is working to assess what business is doing. For example, if business is offsetting their emissions or some hurt to the nature that they did, they are compensating or offsetting. To prove that they are really offsetting, they have to invite audit, and this audit will look at the methodology and standard. And this is not this type of standard. This standard is for self-assessment. No audit is involved in this standard, but this is quite a good standard. And I wanted you to, again, compare two definitions of nature-based solutions, IUCN and UNEA. UNEA is on the up, and here is IUCN. So you see that IUCN don't need to use all this terminology which is obligatory for conventions. That's why their definition is simpler and more general. Anyhow, this definition was adopted. So depending on what you are doing the project, you use the definition. Yeah, from which money your project is funded, depending on this, you will use the definition. So about the global standard, it is good standard. It has 8 criteria which are addressed here in this picture. Here is quite simple. It's just listed 8 criteria. Yeah. So 8 criteria and 128 indicators. You remember last time I showed you the example how SDG are working. There is the Sustainable Development Goal, and there is the criteria and indicators. Using these indicators, answering the questions, is your project doing la 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 la? You can assess, yeah, you can assess your project. So it is very significant where each standard has indicators. So they have them. What I'm missing actually in this IUCN standard, this is scientific sound. For me, it is not obvious if you don't write it separately that the information is scientifically sound or scientifically based on the peer-reviewed, published information. Maybe they mean this when they put this all criteria, that it is obvious, but for me, it is significant to pronounce that your results, your project, your planning, your assessment should be based on scientific results, which are peer-reviewed and accepted by scientific community. What about business? This is one sort of convention, international, which is called Global Compact. I don't know if somebody heard it, because usually they are very shy and sitting somewhere in the corner of UN. Global Compact is not for the countries, it is for large corporations, for international corporations and large businesses. They are signing this convention. And by signing this convention, they agree to work with their principles. Yeah, to be good, to be nice. This is the Global Compact. And Global Compact was first to try to put this nature-based solutions concept to the work of business. They announced this by so-called nature-based solutions manifesto, where they put 4 principles of work, which are much longer, but I just compacted them a little bit because it's a Global Compact. But you can go on the webpage of Global Compact, Google nature-based solutions, and find the whole text. So this is quite general, but anyhow, this was the call for businesses, and it caught business interests, and the business started to work on that. And the first business who were using nature-based solutions, and the only one at the moment, to standardize and to make their offset projects under this, for example, for the carbon market, under this umbrella was gold standard. Actually, we see here a lot of perspectives, because at the moment, carbon market is very uncertain in these nature-based projects. Mainly, this is the planting trees. This is the most popular projects which are used for the offsetting emissions and to trade carbon units in the carbon market. But this planting of trees is a very tricky thing, because very often the trees are planting, like maybe you heard, like green belt of Sahara or green belt of Mongolia, or I don't know which green belt. Yeah, they are planting trees potentially in the places where trees never will grow, or if they will grow, they will use the groundwaters. They will discharge the groundwaters and compete with the agricultural crops, with people, with livelihoods for this water. And also bring to desertification, further desertification and land degradation. In the areas where trees are growing, there's no any more place for trees, because we have agricultural fields, we have towns, cities, villages, and other things, factories. We have no space for trees. So there is a deficit of this. So the market for the carbon units which are produced by forests is already shrinking, because there is no potential. The other ecosystems, like for example, peatland restoration, they have no standards. And when they have standard, there's one standard in Vera, one for tropic and one for the temperate zone. If for tropic, 1 or 2 projects have been certified until now. For the temperate zone, there is no one project which was certified for peatlands restoration, because the conditions and the demands of these standards are unrealistic. Uncertainties of the research is so high that you never can prove really that you did it. So such things like peatland restoration, wetland restoration, river restoration, other ecosystem restorations, you can put easily under this nature-based solutions, and to use this standard and to use this criteria. And also in this standard, which was significant, nature-based solution standard of IUCN and gold standard, very significant is condition that it is integrated in the landscape. So it is bringing landscape thinking. not the ecosystem. Yeah, this is the very popular in Germany approach. First approach of in Germany of nature conservation or environmental is that yeah, you should climate, yeah, you protect climate, protect ecosystems, protect, yeah, and then of course you can't put incentives for that because usual people say, why I have to protect? Instead of saying, this we are doing for your livelihood. Yeah. So we mitigate the climate change that you don't suffer from floods. Yeah. So this is absolutely other approach. And the second is that this fragmentation. You have these ecosystems, and then statistics. Yeah, and okay, we ticks, yeah, like habitat directive. We protected this, we protected this, we protected this. But the idea is to protect landscape, connectivity, to protect all these ecosystem types together. Okay, so and this makes this nature-based solution standard, and this is very good. And if they manage to certify at least one project, I would be very happy, but I don't know. I'm not sure at the moment. And scientific network. Actually, one publication which I recommend to read for you is about this greenwashing through nature-based solutions. And there are several reviews which are interesting to look at. Even one in MDPI. Actually, I don't recommend never MDPI because the quality is not very good. But anyhow, I published there also myself. But this is not bad article. And that is where we are now ending theoretical part. And I would like to lead you to the practical part and to see the examples. Actually, we were working, our organization was working all over the world, almost, yeah, with the good projects in Mongolia, Peru, in Russian Arctic, and Central and Eastern Arctic, Africa, and also in oil sands in Canada, and West Siberia, and we were advising in the project for Israel, the Chinese part of Tibet, and Tierra del Fuego. But today I will stay with Mongolia and explain you the project and why it was nature-based solution. Okay, so this was, of course, peatlands of Mongolia because I'm specialist in peatlands. We have such a picture that we mapped in 2003, I believe, peatlands in Mongolia. But not peatlands themselves, but ecosystems containing peatlands. This in the map, there are ecosystems containing peatlands because it was very difficult to map them, and we were working with topographical maps, old topographical maps from 40s and 60s, and then we were verifying this in the field, and then in 2016 we have the other attempt to do this. And then we found out that those peatlands that we mapped from very detailed 25,000 scale topographic map, they really just almost disappear. They are shrinking very actively. So we had these 10 pilot areas where we make very detailed mapping. And compared with this mapping, what we did from the topographic maps, so from old maps, and actually, these are the picture of the reducing in the area. So it's more than 50%. So this is the speed with which peatlands are disappearing in Mongolia. That is a map of permafrost. Permafrost, it's not ice, yeah, as everybody thinks usually, but it is the frozen soil, whatever soil you have. If you have peat, it's frozen peat. If you have sand, it's frozen sand. If you have loam, it's frozen loam. So whatever you have, the bedrock, it is the just frozen soil, which is remains of the glaciation from old times. And this soil can be frozen until 50 meters, 200 meters, and in Yakutia, for example, it's frozen until 1 kilometer. This could be the depth of permafrost. And actually, we are saying permafrost is thawing, yeah? So it doesn't mean that permafrost is thawing to 200 meters. No, it is thawing from the surface, yeah? It is thawing anyhow. Every year in summer, you have like 40 in natural conditions, 60 centimeters unfrozen soil, which is called active layer. And then during winter, it freezes again and everything is okay. But if you have problems, and if permafrost start to degrade, it means that the cover of permafrost is going so deep that the seasonal frozen already can't meet this ceiling of permafrost, which is going deep. Yeah, for example, it's going 2 meters or 3 meters, and your seasonal frozen winter is only like 1 meter. So then you have gap, yeah, of unfrozen soil. And this is actually what is degradation of permafrost. And here you have this permafrost. When it is very dark, this is the continuous permafrost. The permafrost, which is always there, yeah, and only for 40 centimeters it's out and then back. And then you see that this continuous permafrost becomes discontinuous permafrost. It means that this is exactly this case, that deep you have permafrost, but you don't see it on the surface. And in some cases, it disappeared at all. And this is the scientist who found it out, Humbolthaus, very nice. And now if you look at the map of peatlands and map of permafrost, so we see that they are absolutely all together. Yeah, so peatlands are degraded because of degradation of permafrost. Permafrost is degraded because of degradation of peatlands, whereas chicken, whereas egg, we don't know. But actually, I think that because the cattle is eating up peatlands, permafrost is degrading because peat is preserving ice because it's a specific material which has the thermoisolation. This is our site, and this is publication which you can look. This explained all these types of highland peatlands. Most of them depend on permafrost, and they are shallow peatlands. So what's going on there? Yeah, you have here shallow peatland, yeah, like 1 meter, very shallow. Here is degraded thing. Usually, like because it's highlands, yeah, you have stones, you have a little bit of silt, then you have peat, and this part is called turf. Yeah, which is not turf in German, but it's turf, which is this decomposed organic matter. Yeah, like in meadows, usually the turf is such meadow soil. Okay, so this is what we have. And when we have wet peat, so everything is okay. When we have dry peat, then peat disappears, and then we have silt. Yeah, so and this is how it's going, and it's going very fast, really very fast, because of overgrazing, yeah, that we have there. So to restore peatland, we put this list of activities which we have to do, a lot of research, yeah. So first we have to list what are these environmental problems, then we have to carry out the physical research to find out status of these 5 sources of water which are listed here, yeah. 5 sources of water. You have to find them all and assess at which status they are and where they are at all for this peatland. Then you have to speak with local people. You have to identify restoration goal, to agree with local communities what you are doing. Then you have to agree with them technical and engineering solutions which you want to propose there, like fencing, for example, it's engineer solution here. And then you develop the design, assess the results, outreach to community, yeah, and agree on the follow-up. This is how we did it. This is community. Yeah, they told us, okay, they are fencing this because they understand that they can't. At least springs, yeah, they are fencing themselves with these funny things. Yeah, they have children and they want to have this land longer. Yeah, this is what they came to us. So we took Dutch hydrologist Abgrotians, put him in this landscape. He made this scheme for us and says, okay, this is our concept. We have, first of all, to protect springs from cattle and then look what it is. But we have to understand where is permafrost. So we put technique there and we found out that actually permafrost practically is degraded, but it turned to the water, the huge water body, which is there. So water we have. And then we designed these fences, and also we have to stop erosion. We put the small dams on the old erosion ways, which were done by the cattle. Okay, then we spoke to people, gathered the signatures, and then the people thought, okay, but we want the open water. We want dam. Yeah, this is what I expect here in Saxony. Everybody wants here open water. I don't know why. Okay, so ponds. People like ponds. This is absolutely disaster. You can't do this in the climate change. You can't, because the ponds are source of evaporation. You are losing hell amount of water. But to amuse local people, we had to do this. So we make this all designs. Then we were working. In May 2017, we came. As you see, this is absolutely ruined environment. So we made several fences. And then in 2018 already, we had quite good result inside the fences. And here we had the French scouts working for us on this work. So we are running sort of volunteer camps, at least trying to. Then in 2019, International Maya Conservation Group came there. People who are working with peatlands from all over the world. They were helping us also with monitoring and fencing. And this is how it looks now, at least at 2022. It was looking those fences quite nice, and they are making impact on the surroundings also already. For us, it is initiation points from where peatland will be restored. This springs. So it is not the end of the story. Actually, you can even see it from Google, our fences now, if you go to this site. So how we do the next? First of all, we needed money. So we get in contact with business to sell this actually carbon units. Yeah, for this, we have to prove them that it will be the carbon units. So we made a mapping of the status of the landscape. It is more not vegetation, but more landscape units that we are using because they should be functional. And then we make this plan, what we want to do, depending on the hydrology. Yeah, the seasonal fences, permanent fences. The yellow are already fence springs, this blue, the new fence springs. And here some water management, yeah, stopping erosion, where is this dots. So where are these dots? So, and using our long-term monitoring, we made prognostic mapping. What will happen without project, like baseline, like business as usual, and what will be if we do these activities. And for that, we calculated the carbon content that is assigned to the landscape type. So we made massive carbon analysis, yeah, also the above ground and underground biomass and carbon in the soil. And then this is actually what we gain against this. If we leave this area like this, all peat will be gone, all, yeah, so it will be all mineral soil. If we make our installations, which we propose, so our estimation is that it will be around 300,000 tons in this area. This is what we can sell to the donor as a difference. But to make it, we can't certify, as you told it, because we have this landscape approach and this. To make it eligible, we will use this nature-based solution standard. So we will assess also what we are giving to society, what we are doing, the cost-benefit analysis and all this stuff. Okay, now very fast examples from the whole. In Saxony, we have problems that our landscape is drying out. And mostly we have Niza River and the small river basins which are going to Niza. And when we look at the typical landscape or basin of the small river, so we have problems, yeah? In the middle we have peatland and the peatland is drained, so we have emissions from the peatlands. Then we have usually here road, and not always we have drainage behind the road. Usually these rivers start from the springs, which are on the ridge, which is going, if you go along the Niza, you will always see that on our German bank, there is such a high ridge. And under this ridge, there's always small springs. And as usually the springs are cut from the river by roads, by different infrastructures. And this is the absolutely usual story. So then we have to dry fields because during the socialistic period, they put a lot of drainage and very deep, very well German done drainage. Here the same, yeah, also in the forest that with the climate change, settlements are under flood. Because of all this drainage, we have acidification of the river. Here, when we don't have drainage, is it too wet, yeah, before the road? So because everything is drained, the water is going to the river from the tributary too fast. Here is erosion. We have to look why. So we have to make research. So I didn't make this research, but I only make the estimations. But anyhow, we have to find the water sources, water outflow, including discharge and natural and artificial systems, organic matter flows, including greenhouse gases. All we have to this to assess. Yeah. So we have to assess land use practices and look for the economic background, for the stakeholder interests in this land use, traditional knowledge of this land use, and the cultural traditions, yeah, and then to try to explain this. So we have to learn about the processes. So I know about peatlands, so that's why I put here peatlands. Peatlands are fed here, in this case, by groundwater. And now we have these drainage ditches, which are taking water out, taking organic matter out. And there are some tricks. We have to know about these tricks. For example, you can modify, you not close the ditches because there will be a lot of protests against this for the farmers, but modify ditches from the simple ditches to the so-called two-stage ditches, where you have some space for the small, like 5 meters peatland, but anyhow, it will be already something for the water regime. And then you can suggest your solutions. Why you have these problems? So you have to modify, to change the drainage system, to modify crops, to restore peatland possibly, and possibly you have to restore riparian wetlands, deal with invasive species like halopia, which are destroying soil, making erosions and pumping methane as a mad to the atmosphere. Yeah, so to build that drainage under the road, and this landscape will be then managed as nature-based solutions, and you can sell it to business and give farmer compensation. But usually farmers here in Saxony, when I'm discussing with them, they say, "Oh, we have money that we can provide it to all, to 3 our generations. We are not interested in this shit like carbon units, you know." So this is how it is here. Okay, I wanted to remind about this fallopian. This is a really problem. This is not a problem of invasive species like biodiversity problem. No, this is absolutely structural problem of Saxonia. Structural problem, because we are losing our banks. We are just losing them because this plant is causing erosion. It is taking out totally riparian communities, making this soil absolutely loosey, causing erosion. It is pumping, as I told, methane as a help to atmosphere because it's so-called shunting species. The shunting species, which has holes inside, yeah, they are taking methane by roots and from the anaerobic processes in organic soil, taking to our atmosphere. And this is really disaster. Polish guys have project on the other side to try to stop it, but they didn't use nature-based solutions. They used this foliar. And of course, this is absolutely useless because this plant can break also asphalt, you know. So to close this with the foliar, it is forget it. Yeah, so there are possibilities to make this biological, but it needs research. Yeah, you can replace it for willow, for example, for shrubs with willow. You can flood it. It doesn't stand flooding, like 3 or 4 weeks of flooding, it will die. But anyhow, this is something which should be addressed. And the last one, a very last one and very short one about Görlitz. This is our Görlitz. And then somebody invented that they want to put here near the Jager Kasarma campings here. And it is already in the plan of the city. And I was thinking about nature-based solutions. What is from point of view of nature, how safe it is? So now it looks like this, like this, like this. And here is river. River Kudrun is there. It's running there under the ground. It's put in the pipes there, and they want to put camping. So what are research questions to put the nature-based solution project there? Yeah, we have to have the prognosis of the precipitation 20 years. We have to identify the historical river beds, to identify the borders of the catchment, to look on the water discharge from this catchment and inflow, to identify stakeholders, of course, who to hell wants to put camping there, and to describe scenarios with and without, and then to carry out cost-benefit analysis. And then it will be fit to nature-based solutions. Look at here, this is historical map. Yeah, this is our rivers, which are all now in the pipes. Here they are not in the pipes still. And this is camping. And this is the catchment, which was delineated by the elevation. So catchment is around 300 hectares. My question is, camping or wetland park? And when we go to the very preliminary calculations, we see that if, for example, we have event with 50 millimeters per day, which is absolutely realistic nowadays, yeah, it happened. So then we will have this amount of water per day or this amount of water per hour, which will go to the pipe. Okay, presume that it is 2 meters diameter. I don't know how large is pipe. And it is only 250 meters here. So we can imagine what happens. So this water will just start to go out. So this solution is absolutely unrealistic. I mean, camping here for this site. Take-home messages. Nature-based solutions is rather political than scientific concept. However, it is excellent framework for the scientifically based land management. And this facilitates reporting on on-ground action along with international, regional, and national obligations and relevant indicators and policies. NBC is good background for an inclusive approach, benefit sharing and incentive development, and NBS is an effective way towards the resilience of socio-ecological systems, which we need for adaptation, because for adaptation to climate change, we need resilience. Okay, so thank you, stay motivated and involved. And here I wanted to announce that we have volunteer camp this year also in Mongolia. If somebody wants to join us, I know that is late notice, but maybe next year now we will have this 5-year project. It is paid from the Dutch energy company Green Choice. They are not selling these carbon units, but we just have to prove them for the outreach to the clients that we are restoring the peatlands. So it is a very good case because it's no greenwashing then. Yeah, so, and it will be 5 years. 5 years we will have volunteer camps. So you are very welcome to join. Okay, thank you for your attention.